Welcome to Yoga at Home with a focus on twists for this class. So our class lasts for 30 minutes and we'll include some Savasana at the end. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that as well. So make your way down onto your mat, sitting in a comfortable cross-leg position. If you're unable to do cross-leg, then just pop your legs out straight as well. And let's get started. So just bringing our arms up to the ceiling, we're going to do some gentle stretching just of our shoulders and our arms and our fingers. Just maybe if you'd like to give your hands a bit of a squeeze, just to give those wrists and fingertips a little bit of love. And then we're just going to wander over to which is my right side for a lovely side stretch. So just really focusing on those fingertips, stretching up to the ceiling. Nice straight line from the buttocks to the fingertips, and just gently 2 breaths in and out. Nice and deep. Coming back up to the ceiling again, and then over to my left side. Again, finding those lovely straight lines from your buttocks up to your fingertips. Moving those shoulders forward, so that top shoulder, the right shoulder backwards, the left shoulder forward. Trying not to roll over too much in this position. Nice deep breaths for 2. Coming back up again to the ceiling. Bringing those shoulders down along your back and then raising them up again. So your shoulders are going towards your ears and then back down around your back. Just so seeing those shoulder blades, just giving them a little bit of movement this morning as well. Coming back down again. Then we're just going to do a little bit of flow from side to side. So over to my right, up to the ceiling, and then over to the left. Now let's bring some breath into that. So breathing in up to the ceiling, breathing out, breathing in up to the ceiling, breathing out. One more time up to the ceiling, and then breathing out. Bringing ourselves up to the ceiling again, coming down through heart center. Just bringing our thumbs just in between our breasts or our chest. And then hands on to the knees. Just a couple of deep breaths here. So breathing in for 4, 2, 1, and breathing out for 4, 2, 1. Nice deep breaths. Two more times. You're really finding yourself being grounded into your mat now. Just coming around sideways on your mat or lengthways on your mat. Just bringing your knees up, your toes and your feet are flat on your mat. Arms forward, just slowly bring yourself down, vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae. Just nice and gently bring yourself into a hug. Just bringing those knees into your chest. Maybe giving yourself a little bit of back love here, a little bit of movement. I'm just going to do a hip opener this morning, so bring your feet back down on the mat again. And then just bringing your legs out to the side or your knees out to the side of the mat. If you need to use some props like your blocks or some pillows. This is just a gentle hip opener here. So bringing your feet together, knees either side of your mat. Relaxing those shoulders into the mat. Just finding a little bit of space in your hips. Maybe you'd like to bring your feet out a little bit wider. Just finding that lovely stretch in the hips, nice and early. Just holding here for a couple of breaths, whichever is comfortable for you. Breathing in deeply for 4 and out for 4. Closing your eyes. Last breath. Bring those knees up again, using your hands if you need to. Bring your knees into your chest, giving yourself another hug. Just bring those feet back down onto the ground. We're going to pop our arms side to side, and then we're going to give ourselves, bring our feet up to our tippy toes, and just leaning those knees over to my right. Gentle side stretch with your knees. Lovely twist in the torso. Looking to the opposite side. Finding that stretch down along the torso and the hips. Holding here for 2 breaths. Nice and deep. Bringing back to the middle, then off to my left side. Looking over to the opposite side. Nice deep breaths. Last breath. Bring ourselves back up to the middle. One last hug. Then just rolling up to a seated position, over to all fours. So bringing ourselves onto all fours, bringing our knees and our hips into straight lines, our hands and our shoulders into straight lines. Just spreading those fingers if you'd like to. We're going to do thread the needle. So bringing your right hand into the middle of the mat and then lifting up your left hand up to the ceiling. Lovely side stretch here. Looking up or looking down, whichever is friendly for you. And then if you wish to use a block or a pillow, when you're coming through, bring that hand through underneath, and then you may wish to have a block or a pillow on your ear, and then you bring your ear down onto the mat. With your right hand, just a lovely position, just near your face, nice and solid, assisting you there, or on your hip, or up to the ceiling. Bring those shoulders into a straight line as best as possible. A lovely twist to the shoulders, the chest. Being mindful of your neck. 2 deep breaths. Bring that hand back down onto the mat again, using it to lift yourself up. Really pushing with that right hand to bring your left hand and your right hand back to centre again, or back to straight lines on the mat. Getting yourself centered, then bringing the left hand into the middle of the mat, right hand up to the ceiling. Again, lovely side stretch, looking up or looking down. And then bringing that right arm through, laying it flat on the ground, bring your hand just near your face, using your props if need be. Leaving your hand here, or popping it on your hip, or on up into the air. Reaching towards the ceiling. Holding here for a couple of breaths. If you need some balance in this pose, just tuck your toes or keep your feet flat. Bring that hand back down onto the mat again, nice and firm. Lift yourself up with that hand. Then bring yourself back to all fours. Just give yourself a little bit of a wobble here. And then bring those hands to the front of the mat. We're going to go into our first downward facing dog today, or this class. So tucking those toes under, leaning forward slightly, bringing your buttocks up to the ceiling or to the sky, and then walking that dog out. Keeping your knees bent if you feel that you need to.
Still early in this class. Just really walking that dog out. We've got a squeaky mat this morning. Working your way into the pose, bringing that chest towards your hips, bending your knees still. Finding those straight lines between your fingertips and your buttocks. And then slowly moving to straighten your legs. Once you feel that your calves and your hips and your hamstrings are starting to unpack a little bit. Holding here for a few breaths, just let that head hang. Nice and deep. One last breath. Slowly bending those knees, bring them out to the side of the mat as we go down into child's pose, untucking those toes, bring them together. Nice and slow, mindful movements between poses. Bring your chest down onto the mat, chin onto the mat or forehead onto the mat, using a pillow if you'd like to. Nice deep breaths in child's pose. 3 more deep breaths. Coming forward off the pose, bringing those knees together. We're just going to tuck those toes a little bit and then just lean back, giving our toes some love. Gentle movements. Maybe that's enough of your toes. If not, bring yourself up to a seated position, hands in heart center. Holding here for 2 breaths. Bring yourself forward onto the mat. We're just going to counter pose by laying our feet flat and just sitting on our feet just for that counter pose. Leaning forward into the pose, back down through downward facing dog as we transition to standing. So either a gentle jump forward or bringing your left foot or your right foot to the front of the mat, forward fold. Bringing your head or your eyes so they're looking at your knees. Maybe you'd like to bring your arms either side to hug your elbows or your hands hugging your elbows. Little bit of a twist here, side to side. Just let yourself hang, feeling the stretch coming up through the calves, the buttocks, the lower back. Hands back down onto the mat, or maybe on your shins or your knees, wherever you're able to reach to. Bending those knees slightly, just slowly bring ourselves up to standing. Vertebrae by vertebrae, arms up to the ceiling, gentle back bend. And down through heart center to mountain pose. So bringing yourself into mountain pose for a few breaths. Nice deep breaths, center yourself into your mat. Last breath. Bring your knees together or your feet together. Coming into child's pose. So coming into child's pose, bending down through your buttocks as though you're just sitting on a chair. We're coming into chair pose, not child's pose. As though you're sitting in a chair.
And then bringing that right elbow over to the left knee for a lovely side twist. So holding here for 2 breaths. Coming back to chair, coming back to standing, arms up to the ceiling, gentle back bend, and then down to the right side. Coming back down through chair, holding through chair for 1 breath, and then left elbow over the right knee to the right side. Holding here for 1 more breath. Coming back to chair, nice and slowly back to standing again. Gentle back bend, down through heart center. So coming around sideways on the mat, just bringing your feet out to a wide angle position. So we're going to do a wide leg twist here. So just bring them out as comfortable as it is as possible for you. Maybe you'd like to adjust your feet through this pose as well. So hands in heart center. Just a little bit of a bend in the knees, so don't lock those knees. And then just slowly bring yourself forward. If you need to assist yourself by bringing your hands onto the ground, feel free to do that. Just a gentle stretch backwards, just a counter-lever with the back, with the buttocks going back a little bit as you're leaning forward. Just holding here for 2 breaths, looking straight down onto the mat. Finding that lovely stretch in the lower back, your buttocks and your glutes. Bring your hands down onto the mat this time. Right hand into the middle of the mat, stretching up to the ceiling. Lovely side stretch again, really working on those shoulders. Coming towards a nice straight line. Looking up or looking down. One more breath, nice and deep. Bringing that left hand back down onto the mat. Bring it, right hand up towards the ceiling. Lovely stretch on the right side this time. Feeling that twist in the torso. Working towards straight lines with your shoulders. Looking up or looking down. One more breath. Coming back down onto the mat again. Leaning forward. Just letting yourself flop forward. Maybe bring your hands up, hugging those elbows again. Finding that lovely stretch. The lower back, glutes, buttocks, bending those knees slightly. Bring those hands back down onto the mat, assisting you to heel toe into the center of the mat. Until you bring your feet together again. Forward fold, half lift, eyes forward, forward fold. Bending those knees, bring yourselves back up to standing. Hands up to the ceiling. Gentle back bend, down through mountain pose. Going to do a couple of flows before we go back down onto the mat and before we finish practice. So just coming to the front of the mat, flowing up to the ceiling, gentle back bend, hands down through heart center, forward fold, sun salutation A, half lift, forward fold, first one nice and slow, left foot back, right foot back, knees down onto the mat for the first chaturanga, untucking those toes, leaning forward, gently lowering yourself down and up for cobra. Tucking those toes, upward for downwards facing dog. Holding dog for 2 breaths, nice and deep.
Bring left foot to the front of the mat, right foot to the front of the mat, forward fold, half lift, forward fold. Bending those knees, coming back up again, gentle back bend, flowing down to the right side, a little bit faster this time. Forward fold, half lift, forward fold, right foot back, left foot back, down through chaturanga, upward facing dog. Tucking those toes, downward facing dog. Nice deep breaths and downward facing dog. Bring that right foot to the front of the mat, left foot to the front of the mat, forward fold, half lift, looking forward, forward fold. Bending those knees again.
Coming up for back bend, down through mountain pose. Just holding in mountain pose. Nice deep breaths. Bending those knees, bringing ourselves down to our mat, coming into the middle of the mat, facing sideways or forward to the camera. Just tucking those legs into a cross-legged position. We're just going to do a few twists in the seated position here. So you can do it in a cross-legged position. You can also do it with your legs out, whichever's comfortable with you, or tuck your right leg or your right ankle just near your buttocks and your right knees basically sort of in a straight line from your hip, and then bring your left leg over, and you're sort of working towards your knees being on top of each other, and then your feet are flat or they can actually be brought forward, so whichever is comfortable for you. But find a position where you're actually concentrating on the twist. And if it's cross-legged or straight-legged, let's work on our torso. That's where we're looking to give our internals a bit of love. So arms up into the air, really stretching that back out nice and straight. Bringing that right hand over that left knee, and then left hand just tucked behind your buttocks. Working from your torso first, bringing it around to then shoulders, then head and neck. So really feeling that lovely stretch or that lovely twist in your torso. If you find that it's too hard on your neck or it's just not friendly for your neck, then just face forward with your head. So really working on that torso, getting the stretch, and then bringing your shoulders and your head and neck through last. Nice deep breaths in this position. Two more deep breaths. Coming back around to the front again, arms up to the ceiling. This time left hand, right hand at the back. Again, bringing ourselves around, working from our torso. Lovely twist. One more breath. Coming back around to the front, what we're going to do is swap our legs over. So if you do have your legs crossed, then swap your legs over to the other side, whichever way you are seated in your practice. Just finding a nice, comfortable space. Again, right hand over to the left knee, left hand behind your buttocks, finding that twist. Nice deep breaths. Coming back forward, arms up to the ceiling, last twist off to our right side. Coming back forward, arms up to the ceiling, and then bringing them back down. Uncurling your legs, bringing them around to the sides as we make our way down to the mat. Hands forward, rolling vertebrae,
by vertebrae by vertebrae. Bring yourselves down onto the mat, giving your legs and your knees a lovely hug into your chest. Bring your feet up to the ceiling, bring your toes down towards your body, and then just gently rolling up to touch your toes, coming from the torso. No pressure on your shoulders or your neck or your head. Really stretching up from that torso. And then coming back down again, hugging your knees. Bring that left leg out, nice and straight, just hovering on the top of the mat. Holding that right knee into your chest. And then bringing that left knee in and doing the same thing on the left side. Lovely squeeze into the chest. Just hovering those legs above the mat, finding some space. Just do it a few more times. Nice, deep breaths. One more time on either side. And bringing ourselves down to Savasana. If you're going to join us for Savasana, that'll be 1 to 2 minutes after your practice. Savasana is the most important pose in yoga. So make sure you do spend some time in Savasana. If you need a pillow underneath your knees or maybe a blanket on top of you, bring your hands so they're flopped out, facing up towards the sky or the ceiling. Tuck your chin a little bit, tuck those shoulders underneath. Just let your feet flop out either side. So enjoy your Savasana for a couple of minutes. Thank you for practicing yoga at home with a focus on twists. Nice deep breaths.